Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. We are here in my 2021 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 1LE, doing what I love doing best, and of course, that's going on throttle whenever I get the chance to take her out. And basically what I wanted to do with this video is, I know a lot of people have been asking me for updates on my ZL1 1LE, my Shelby GT350R, so on and so forth. So I figured since I was taking her out for a little spin, I'm bringing you guys with me. And I kind of just want to touch on some of the good things that I've experienced with this ZL1, and some of the things that kind of were not the greatest. But, you know, going back to when I bought the car, which was around March of 2021, I know a lot of people were like, well, Joe, why aren't you buying a C8 Corvette? Why aren't you waiting for a Z06 C8? And the bottom line is that I wanted to buy a brand new car. I knew that. So pre-owned, I was not looking at. And second of all, I needed this. This is what I need. And that's that manual transmission. I know that I will never be able to outshift an automatic transmission in today's world. Back when I was in high school, automatics were slush boxes. You didn't get the automatic if you wanted to go fast. They even had worse fuel economy than the manual transmissions back when I was in high school. And now today, obviously, it's the total reversal, and it's just getting so hard to find cars, even performance cars, with manual transmissions. So that was like a non-negotiable. I had to have a manual transmission. So that really narrowed my choices down. And as many of you are aware, I bought a Shelby GT350R Heritage Edition back in 2020, and I will be doing the same kind of thing that I'm doing now with this, and I'll try to do them a little bit more often because I know a lot of you have asked for it. But that was the same thing. Like I bought the Shelby. That to me was like the obtainable dream car, and it had a manual transmission. So choices were pretty slim. Now, why did I go 1LE over a standard ZL1? I personally wanted the fullest extent of a track-focused Camaro that I could find. And obviously, if you've been doing your homework, you know that this ZL1 1LE is one hell of a track beast. So much so that in the right hands, these things track down and just destroy a lot of the competition. Even things like 911 GT3s. So just something to think about. But the car also had a little bit of a personal thing. You know, the cars that I buy tend to have this personal connection with me. When I saw the color Wild Cherry Tint Coat, which they don't make anymore, now they have Radiant Red, I fell in love with it because it reminded me so much of my first car, which was a Pontiac Firebird, which that was a manual as well. And obviously Pontiac doesn't exist anymore, and Firebirds, you can't buy a brand new Pontiac Firebird anymore. So this was the closest thing that I could get. So far, the things that I've loved is obviously the performance, the power. There's no getting around the LT4 6.2 liter supercharged V8 paired with this 6-speed manual transmission. This Tremec 6-speed is so wonderful of a gearbox. Nice short throws, crisp engagement. The clutch is great. It's not super heavy for a car that has this much power. Plus the fact that for those of you who don't want to do heel toe downshift, you got the automatic rev match downshift feature that you could turn on and off all by hitting the paddle on the steering wheel. It's got a head-up display, which is great. And these are things like the automatic rev match downshift, the head-up display. You don't get those in a Shelby. So if you're thinking about, well, what about the Shelby? those are a couple things. The Shelby is a little bit more analog than what this Camaro ZL1 1LE is all about. Now, obviously from the look standpoint, that's gonna be beauty in the eye of the beholder, but I love this thing. We gotta go on throttle. On throttle! God, you gotta be gingerly with that throttle, because the way that I compare this to, say, a Camaro, to my Shelby, or even to like a C8 Corvette, this thing is like a sledgehammer. The Shelby GT350R with that Voodoo engine is a little bit more of a precision scalpel, where this is a freaking sledgehammer. And that's one of the many reasons why I love this thing, is because it is just a beast. But you gotta be really mindful of that throttle pedal, because the tires on this car, the Goodyear Supercar 3R tires, they are more track focused, more track specific than the Cup 2s, the Pilot Cup 2s, the Michelins that are on my Shelby. So something to think about even extra is that you got to be very gingerly and make sure that you have heat in the tires, especially the rears. And even though the rears are 325s, which are steamrollers, you still got to make sure that the traction is there. And one of the nice things that I love about the Camaro is that when you go through the different performance gauges, you could actually have it display what the tire temps are. Not just air pressure, but tire temperature. So that to me is worth its weight in gold. The seats, the Recaros, absolutely love them. The fact that they're heated and ventilated just proves that a performance seat, a high performance seat, you could have your cake and eat it too. Obviously, the elephant that's in the room is it's tight in here. Especially when Chevy went to the Alpha 2 chassis that this sits on. Remember, this is the same chassis that the Cadillac ATS sits on. It's a much smaller chassis, much smaller car compared to a Mustang or especially a Challenger, but it definitely feels tight inside. The sides of the vehicle are high. You just got to know when to look and how to look, and that all comes from the experience of driving the car. When I first got into my first ever 5th gen, 6th gen Camaro that I did a review on, I'll be honest with you, I was like, this is a major zonk. It's tight in here. There's a lot of dead spots, blind spots, and I don't know if I'm really enjoying this, but as you get comfortable and you get connected with the car, you know where the blind spots are and you know how to get around them. One of the biggest things is that if you get a newer ZL1 1LE, it comes with the digital rear view mirror. So with the digital rear view mirror, it gives you a bird's eye view, and that takes care of pretty much all the blind spots. But if you're doing a track day or your favorite twisty road, which we're about to get to very soon here, you're gonna be looking forward. And out the front, it's actually pretty fantastic. I really feel like I'm sitting in my C4 Corvette that I used to have back when I was in high school, because you're low, you see the top of the hood, and this to me feels more Corvette-esque than, believe it or not, the C8 Corvette. So something to think about when looking at that. But instrumentation, clean, straightforward. It's got a nice large digital display in the center where I could change up all the different information. Like I said, tire temp. Right now I have oil temp, very important gauge. Oil pressure is displayed. And then you have your analog setup too. I'm old school. I love that old school feel that you get with the analog gauges. Road noise, you're gonna get a lot of noise in here because guess what? They take out a lot of the sound deadening material, and it's all about cut and weight for the track. So that's another thing that you need to think about when driving this car. But this gearbox it's a piece of perfection. It really is. There's nothing else that I could say, no other adjective. It's perfect. There's nothing I would change with the gearbox. You know, everybody has their own choice on what kind of materials they like. When you go ZL1 1LE, you're getting the Alcantara everywhere. So you have the Alcantara steering wheel, Alcantara on the shift knob. And yes, over time, this is it's not gonna wear well. We know that, but that's just one of the things that you compromise with, right? It's one of the things that you know what you're getting into if you do your research, and that's why I'm here to kind of help guide you through that and give you some extra pointers and things that I've learned along the way. All right, guys, here we go. On throttle! Golly! I tell you, it has so much torque down low, it just pins you to the seat, and that speedometer in the head-up display, it's like a freaking fuel pump gauge when you're fueling up your car with fuel. It's just spinning so quickly, and you're like, oh my God, the speeds I'm doing are just ridiculous. But the nice balanced steering, all of the aero is real deal working aero. It's not just stuck on there to look cool. You have extra downforce out back, tons of extra downforce with the dive planes out front. You get just enough supercharger whine to let you know that you're in a supercharged car. GT500, barely hear any whine. Hellcat Red Eye, you get it, buckets full. This is a nice balance between the two. I really think the other big zonk, if you're not ready to compromise and you're not ready for it, is going to be the suspension. So this has the Multimatic dual spool valve technology developed on Formula One cars and put on this car. It is gonna be bouncy in here on rough pavement. Now, is it unbearable? No. Is it excessive? It can be at times, depending on the road that you're on. The challenge is that the MagneRide suspension in the ZL1 is so good and fine-tunes the compression and rebound so well that it makes the 1LE seem a little too overboard. And that's something that you gotta ask yourself, are you willing to compromise? Certain parts of the country have different quality roads. You just gotta ask yourself, based off of where you're living and how you're gonna use the car, whether you wanna go down that road or not. It's really your call on what you feel comfortable with. For me, I'm fine with the compromise. This is not a daily driver. I want to take it to the track a little bit more. I want to have that most track focused model in the Camaro lineup, and this is the car. So that's probably going to be the three big zonks. The sore spots is going to be the visibility, the suspension, and then of course getting that overall heat into the tires that come with the car. Once you select different tires, you can negate part of that, and also you can negate some of the rough feeling from the suspension that you're getting if you go with a different type of tire. Just something to talk about and think about. Other than that, the look of it, it makes me drool every time I open up the garage. The car has held up very well. You're not getting a bunch of squeaks and rattles and everything else in here, so that's really nice. But of course, there's the driving experience. You know, having less sound deadening material, you do get more road noise, but you get more of that overall great feeling. And you feel very connected with this car, more so than a C8 Corvette. That's just my impressions from driving a lot of C8s to driving this. This is more the driver's car. It just makes sense, right? On throttle! Woo-hoo-hoo! Unbelievable, unbelievable. But that's what I was telling you, is like, you gotta make sure you have heat in those tires before you just go on throttle. But talking about options, there wasn't a ton of boxes to check off. Obviously, Wild Cherry Tint Coat at the time when it was available was an optional color. I got the red seat belts. Why? Because 5 extra horsepower, of course. And then I got the PDR, which is the Performance Data Recorder. Probably one of the best systems on any production vehicle. Other than that, when you check off that 1LE box, you're getting all of the goodies that you know that are on my car. The multi-mag suspension, carbon fiber rear wing, carbon fiber heat extractor on the hood. You got the flat black. You got the massive canards and diplanes, bigger splitter, Recaro seats, the whole shabam. And yes, you can get it with an automatic if you choose to do so. But for me, like I said, it's nothing but the manual. Ready? On throttle, here we go. Look at this. Right around, I would say, as you're dropping in revs around 4,000 RPM, you get a bunch of bangs and pops out the exhaust. And being able to heel toe downshift is a piece of cake in this car. Absolutely piece of cake. All right, guys, one more time for you. Definitely one more time for me. Are you ready? On throttle. Look at this. It really is a sledgehammer. This car scares me from time to time. And I'm just being honest. It really, really does. Just because of the performance potential of it and how it delivers it with that sledgehammer intensity. But I absolutely love her, and if you've been looking, I would highly recommend it, that's for sure. It's like, give me a freaking break. That's what this thing performs like. And the sound of that V8 engine, I love it. But let me know what you think in the comment section. If you want to see more things like this where I'm talking about my own personal cars and a nice driving atmosphere and just some car people just, you know, talking about what it feels like and sharing the whole experience. If you want to see more of that, let me know down in the comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile coming back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raitis Rides family. We appreciate you, and we definitely love having you. We got to give a huge thank you out to Lori and Steven for being the best videographers in the whole world of YouTube. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.